Hi, Jesse here, and I figured I haven't done a lot of video about my new greenhouse and aquaponics system that took me 2 seasons to build. So we basically had this Harbor Freight greenhouse that is a 10 by 12 and purchased 2 of them and put them back to back to create a 10 by 24 space, and then put a Chop Mark II Murray Hallam aquaponics system in there, and I wanted to show you a little bit more about it. So let's do a review of what we have. First off, you can see that the greenhouse is back to back. There's a shade cloth on there. I know that doesn't look very pretty, but I pulled it back just because we wanted a little extra sun. It was a little hotter that crazy hot day early in July, so I had the whole thing covered, and now just part of it. This raised bed in front is actually a really cool water trough that we're using to grow a variety of different things, especially tomatoes. Have these kind of interesting pieces that are 3D printed, and then I'll run some of this tubing, and there hasn't been any rain, so I don't have it in there now, but typically this goes right into that trough, and I have those on all 4 corners. Going inside, you can tell that I beefed up the greenhouse with just simple treated lumber 2x4s, just a frame basically, in order to make it a little bit stronger for the wind and the snow in the winter. And then this is a bamboo skirting around IBCs that are cut in half. They're called totes or IBCs, and basically cut them in half and turn them into the media beds or the grow beds. You can see the water intake there. What beautiful thing about aquaponics is that it is a closed loop ecosystem, where you'll see where fish are raised and their poop becomes fertilizer, and the water is essentially filtered by the plants and returned clean to the fish. And so you can see we have 3 raised beds here. And then what else is really fun about this is you can grow lots of different kinds of things. We're going heavy on tomatoes this year, and you can see where they're starting to come in pretty well there. And it's getting to be almost as tall as the greenhouse already. Here we are at the beginning of August. In the middle here is what's called the sump, and there's a sump pump or a pump down there, and essentially that pump is shooting water up through the grow beds, and that circulates back. I put a screen on it just because we have snails in there to help eat algae. Don't want them in the pump. And then there's a second pump here that goes to our grow towers, and that pump is back there further, and you can see water returning from the fish tank back in there. And you can see in here, these are not running currently, but these are from the grow beds, and they work on what's called an auto siphon system, which is a really cool physics experiment where the water goes into a vortex when it gets a certain height and sucks down and drains rapidly out there. It's almost like a toilet flushing, and it doesn't require any mechanical parts or electronic devices. It's all running on a very simple system, just runs on physics basically. Really kind of cool. It's hard to see from at this point with all the growth, but I can get around here and you can have a little look at one of the auto siphons. You can see back there in the bush there it is. There's the auto siphon. Inside there is a unit that is that has where the water drains, and there's the other one in there. I'll have to show you other videos on that another time. Growing tomatoes, and our objective is to raise a lot of our own food. And the next part to this year was the grow towers. So these are vertical towers, and they're still, for us, experimental. They're on the north side of the greenhouse, just to make use of the vertical space. We've already harvested a lot off of the lettuce plant, so it looks a little bit draggled. There's not much left. The green slime down there is a little bit of algae. Sometimes I wipe that off. There's a little bit of leakage, but otherwise, it's a really cool way to grow additional plants without taking up a lot of floor space. And the lettuce down here has done really well, and we've already harvested it, so there's not much left. And yes, it's not perfect, but we're working on improving it, and it's really a fascinating system. So this is where the water comes in here. It comes up to the top, and it comes out to each one of these and drains. Down in the bottom, that there's a return pipe that actually goes back into the sump. That was very challenging to to figure out, by the way, on how to make all this drain. It's all basically custom work, and you can see it's going back into the sump from there. This pump that you're, pipe you're looking at here, this 2 inches coming from the fish tank. We're gonna go there next. I just had feeding time, so the fish are kind of full, but they're still near the top. This is our fish tank, and you can see the water from the pumps. This one's coming from the grow towers, it's excess water, and the other one's coming from the sump. So we have 2 of them coming into the tank and 1 big one leaving. And you can see right here, we have some we gave the little fish a home here. They can come in and out of there as we want. We had them in a separate tank over here, which we always have a sick bay or a place to put them temporarily, to salt them, to get them prepared to enter in the population, because we don't want them, getting anybody sick. But see, these guys here, I just fed them the little food, and then my big guys who've been in longer over here. And you can see I made a lid for it, which I can remove completely or take half up like I did. And you can see the water coming in there, and it drains out of this one. This one has a long pipe going way down deep so that it sucks water in, and there's a screen on it, and it sucks water in from lower down. So the water comes from the top and gets sucked into here, and then you'll see, hi fish. Just goldfish, by the way. We could have done edible fish. It's just something I didn't want to deal with at the time. And you can see it's just constantly draining back into the system, constantly cycling the water through. So my big guys are down now deeper in, but yeah, so that's basically how that works. And it's a really fun system. You can have up to 100 fish in this tank. We probably only have 60 right now, or maybe these guys are adding a few additional. So that's that. That is an aquaponics system, a basic system. With totes or IBCs cut up, and it runs here. And then the rest of this is, my wife wanted to have a place to work, so we created, I created a kind of a, an area with workbench, and then these are kind of handy. These actually come up like this, and then we can put another shelf on here, our shelving system, or get it out of the way if the plants are tall. We were using that earlier with our starts. We'll put all the starts up there. Put that fan in just so there's an extra circulation up high to get the hot air going. And something I really love is this fan, which is actually a running on solar. And this solar fan, you can see the battery is there, and above on the roof is the actual solar panel. And so this will come on intermittently, off and on, whenever there's a lot of direct sun, which just also coincides with when there's going to be a bunch of heat up in the ceiling. This also is running on solar. It's currently off, but we had this for some of the fish, and we had a solar panel for the aeration and for the filter, and that was working really, really great. And just kind of put that together there. And you can see from the back side what that looks like. I just basically cut it out. And so I basically took the essential plans, and I just upgraded them a bit. I also have this big, it's kind of ugly now, I'll probably paint this, but this is our catchment system for rain water here, which I've used for the system to cut down on the water, and then and to grow some additional things. So that's that, and I hope you enjoyed my tour of our greenhouse aquaponic system. The very best part of all is the fact that this thing was very, very inexpensive. So almost everything you see here is essentially, it's either recycled parts, used parts, or very inexpensive things that we collected. And so this entire thing, a commercial version that's huge would be very, very expensive, but we were able to do it for a few $1,000s, and a fully functioning system growing a lot of tomatoes. All right, take care.